Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Big Decisions for Anfield Index. The window is shut. The race for the league is still open. Arsenal fans will have you believe there is a lot going on. There's a lot of things that haven't happened at the same time. Now, if you've ever seen the movie Freaky Friday, there's various versions, and the latest might cast me as Lindsay Lohan. And because I'm playing the host, we've switched it round, which maybe by definition makes my guest the modern equivalent of Jamie Lee Curtis. It is, of course, the well-renowned, the well-respected Mr. Trev Downey. I mean, Trev, us doing this in reverse, how weird does this feel right now?
I'm loving it. I'm all about this. I love a chance where I don't have to consider the flow of the show, and I can leave that to you. I'm a little bit worried that we've got a discrepancy here on our levels. I feel like I should push my chair down a bit, or you need to come up. But apart from that, I'm all good, man. Let's get into this, because it's nice to be able to have a talk now. The window's closed. There is no more debate to be had about what we could or should do. It's not going to be done. And so we just have to circle the wagons and head on with the current crew. And I mean, I think if you had said that to everybody at the start, pull us out of our misery, we'd have been okay with that.
Yeah, I know. It is a funny one. And people, if you know the format of Big Decisions, we will take on two big topics. We will push Trev Downey to make calls on certain things. We will leave nothing unsaid. Everything will go challenged, which is my kind of show by nature as well. So let's start a little bit with the transfers and contract thoughts. And Trev, I mean, with this one, let's just be honest. There was so much going on for every other club, but we didn't even do a show to end it because there was literally nada going on for us. And let me just cast your mind back to that on screen. So if you're on the audio option, that rumour that drew 2.8 million of us on January the 9th, Kavicha linked with Liverpool. I think you can probably guess how that ended, people. And Trev, I mean, there was bits where we were like, that Vince McMahon meme, wasn't it? Do you remember, like, Kavicha's linked, and then Zimas was linked, and then contracts were getting renewed, and we were getting excited. And then we ended up with Jadon Danns going on loan to Sunderland with one of those faces that had no emotion on it at all. I mean, we didn't get a show. We didn't get a crescendo. We didn't really get anything, Trev. Now that it's finished, how are you feeling about that Jan window?
Specifically, this incident here that you're talking about, to use your analogy, it was the absolute Hodgson. It was and then that's what it was. It was, you reeled me in, you bastards, and now look. And we knew better than to get too excited. Let's be honest. Yeah. The window itself, let's just call a spade a spade. It's maybe not politic to say this because it puts you in one of two camps, and everybody needs to be part of a binary these days because they're simpletons. And I don't belong in that, so you can't try to label me. And I won't argue with people on the internet who try to do it. But apparently it's the top red camp who say that aren't the lads we have lovely lads? And isn't the manager we have a smashing lad? And aren't the owners that we have the bestest of people? And can't you just be happy like a good little fella? And they pat you on the head and tell you to run along and enjoy the pleasure of being a Liverpool fan. And hey, just get on with the singing, man. And, I'm not one to ever tell people how to support, so I can't ever find myself saying things like that to anybody. But I do get it. There is, of course, that's where we're at now, by the way. That's where everybody's at now. There is no choice, like I said earlier on, around, well, what could we possibly do? How could we possibly shake it up? There is no choice available. We just have to hope that the injury record remains pretty solid and that he has full access to the squad that he has. But if you were to ask me, was it the right decision to play on the title of the show here, Big Decisions? No. The right decision is always to strengthen when you are strong. Always. And the pat answer, Dave, of we have a very good squad and it's quite hard to improve on what we have, has a huge amount of validity, but it's also a pat answer. It's one of those ones to keep the topic moving. Next question, please. And it's the kind of thing that if you take issue with it, it appears as if you're having to go with the current iteration of the Liverpool squad. No, you're not. You're saying it can get better. And if you ever think it can't get better, maybe you are the one perhaps with the issue. So I feel very disappointed that we didn't do something at least. And you know what? I said to you quietly on the back of a chat I had with young Hendrik privately, we were talking about how maybe they'll just save up one of these contracts for the last day of the deadline. And like Saps, you and I would have delightfully, happily gone on to talk about what a good thing that is at least. But we didn't even get that, man.
No, we didn't even get that. We didn't even get any incomings. We got Tyler Morton. He didn't even get his outgoing, which we thought would be a minimum show. Essentially, people, we didn't even have anything to talk about. And with January, that closes with nothing. So you know exactly how this pattern rolls, Trev. Yes, that's right. It's going to be a big summer for the Reds, apparently. Those are the stories, the brief coming out. Liverpool are keeping their powder dry. It's all about the summer war chest, monitoring, recommending, scouting, all the other things that go with it. And to be fair, I can be honest and say it was just me that put that poll just for the crack on this afternoon around what will Liverpool do this summer. So we put on the answers. A big summer, no chance. A big one in, one out, net spend standard. And in true Liverpool fan style, everyone is split across the board, Trev. I mean, a big summer. There's a few journalists say that. And I want to be fair when journalists are saying this, because they'll be getting the brief from the club. We know how this thing often works. A big summer, Trev Downey. Is it pending?
It kind of has to be pending because one way or the other, a big summer will involve deals for the three lads in question with their contracts. Yeah. That's going to be an issue of money in or money out. So that's big. It can't not be big. You're talking about the three most sort of important players in many ways. Yeah. Especially if we assume that our buddy between the sticks is not long for life at Anfield, given the recruitment that we've been doing, then perhaps you have to say they're the three most sort of influential figures. So that's big, and the decisions made around those will be big. The fact that they might be factored into, look what we've done for you lately in the summer would be pretty hard to swallow. Do we need to recruit? Well, it's plain as the nose in your face. There's a whole WhatsApp thread that you are part of with me that's discussing the whole Andy Robertson situation. And again, it seems split between look, what can he do except his best? And people wanting to point out that, but his best ain't good enough and we should have done something about it. And, wherever you land, I'm probably somewhere on that spectrum. Everything's a spectrum these days, and I'm probably somewhere on that spectrum. I love the kid, love what he's offered to Liverpool. I think he still has a lot to offer Liverpool. It's just that he shouldn't be playing every week. And the main person who seems to be in denial about that fact is Andy himself, judging by the quotes that he came out with. So that's an issue we have to address, that position, especially considering as his K-hole buddy there, his cover at left back may well be on the move as well. So let's say that's one big area. The other big area is something to do with centre half, because Joe Gomez might say, I've had enough of being the kind of utility man or the third choice or whatever it happens to be. And maybe who knows what happens again, like with the Virgil contract. We can't rely on Ibu as a starter for the season. So who knows what happens there, but there has to be recruitment there, you would imagine. And maybe at some point we will get this profile of midfielder that we've been flirting and sticking a bit of leg out for every summer for the last several summers. So that in and of itself is where the big issues happen. And then you have to look at the attack, Dave. And let's not be daft about this. Luis Diaz looks like a lad who's primed to go somewhere. Yeah. Darwin Núñez appears to be being shunted into that category, whether he wants to be in it or not. And then, of course, there's the big one. If the club allows Mo Salah to go and doesn't pay him doesn't pay him what he wants, or quibbles with him over the finance of his contract, you have to be a very special kind of pro FSG lad who gets great pleasure from our spending levels and our net spend and all the rest of it, to say that is anything but an absolute tragedy and a complete mistake. But it might happen, Dave. So to say that this summer is not going to be massive is an understatement. And I think one way or the other, it's going to rival at least the summer where we rebuilt the midfield and we brought in Dom and Mac and Grav. It's going to be like that. It's got to be like that. It's got to be a window where there's a lot of new bodies in. Again, you consider briefly, sorry to go on, but there's just one other aspect here. There are other lads like Harvey Elliott who might be thinking, listen, I'm a Premier League footballer and I'm not sure I'm an Arne Slot Premier League footballer. And I would like to be playing every week and maybe get myself into the England team and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So there's another area where we could be under a little bit of pressure. Everyone wants to stay with the league winners. Everyone wants to stay with the Champions League winners unless they're getting a game. And then it takes a certain type to want to be a squad member. I think Elliot might be one of those guys who's not really that fella. So, Dave, whatever way you look at it, whatever way you slice it, man, change is afoot and recruitment will have to happen. It's just a matter of whether it will be, as you say, at the end of the day, will there be much in terms of really the final figure of outgoings versus incomings? What will that look like? Because everyone thinks war chest. Will it be, though? You mentioned those reliable journalists who were talking about war chests. Well, they told us about Kvicha. Do you know? The two big wigs had it that we were very in there and there was talks and it was looking good. So, I mean, I don't know who to believe anymore, Dave.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, that a war chest can be construed of £200 million worth of sales, can't it? And then £210 million spent, can't it? So it is a tough one. But like you, I am sort of leading towards, well, we can't go into next season as the potential reigning champions with 7 players. So you'd think there is business afoot. And you mentioned the big 3, Trev. I mean, contract rumours, we are desperate to believe this is true. And not to be derogatory of any other site, we've asked around as much as possible. We are getting nada on this because there was a story from a rival site saying that Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk have put pen to paper, which is a big claim. We are all hoping it is true, but Anfield Index, have to be honest, we can't get anything. And for this, Trev, this is the big context at the moment. We've talked before on shows about the comments Mo's made after games, the Virgil ones in the mix zone, the Trent Alexander-Arnold avoiding everything. They all seem to have sort of just sashayed into the Trent camp, as in no one's really talking about the contracts anymore. And maybe, as Mo Salah said in his defence, we're going to go to war for Mo Salah every single time. My priority is to win a Premier League for Liverpool. So that is the absolute focus, which we get. Talk's dried up. Has your hope dried up completely on these 3 contracts yet?
Well, I see something like you've highlighted there, and through the joys of our new platform, you can see as we're talking. And for those who are listening later on, it's that picture of Virgil and Mo and the assurances that the deals have been done. And look, again, I'm not even going to mention the site for fear that anyone says that, you know, I have an axe to grind or anything. I don't. I've nothing against any other.
Yeah,
it's like I say every time, Dave. Imagine spending time arguing on the internet. Really, really, have you nothing better to do with your life? I will never argue with anyone on the internet, so I'm not looking for beefs or gripes. That's the only reason I don't mention them. They may be right, see, and then again, they may be part of the category of lads and sites and individuals who just keep saying things, and then eventually they're going to be the ones who had the exclusive. They were out first ahead of everybody else. So look, again, it's motivation for why those things occur. I heard John Barnes talking about the importance of getting Virgil van Dijk signed up. And, you know, for me, that's always been the one. And irrespective of the glorious individual and footballer and possibly all-time great that Mo Salah is, I still lean into what Barnesy is saying there. I get it. And I really hope that will be done quietly. I wish it had been already done quietly, like the Mo deal. I don't understand what the holdup is. Again, a good colleague of ours had a theory that perhaps it was because the Trent situation is so up in the air. And, you know, if there is big financing to be done around replacing Trent, who knows where the contract and the apparently very limited or very specific budget, let's just say, rather than using the word limited, will be applied. So when you ask me, I still have, I feel like an idiot, Dave, saying this, but I still have a quiet expectation that Virgil will retain his position as captain and be over the line whenever that has to happen. Again, I'm really baffled as to why it hasn't as yet. I don't understand what possible upside there could be to this. No. With Mo, it's exactly the same. I'm in the same position, but I'd be about 20% less hopeful of that one. Primarily because, you know, I wonder if Mo doesn't have, you know, the ambition to just say, well, I can go and do anything at any club, and every club will agree with him, see. And they will agree with Virgil van Dijk as well. I just have this feeling as club captain, he has this status, and Mo has it too. And I'm hopeful about both of those, less so about Mo. The Trent one, I think, is almost as certain to go the other way. I don't know why I feel that either. Don't ask me for rationale, because nobody has any. And if they're telling me they do, they're freaking lying, Dave. Nobody knows anything, as William Goldman once said. And the fact is, I just get a bad feeling about the Trent thing. And the first chat you and I had about it when it broke, I was saying, you see a lad that age and you see the opportunity to go and play for Real Madrid with the best players in the world, etc. The PlayStation effect, I was calling it. And if you think that that's not ridiculously attractive, then you've lost the plot completely. And in his head, he might be thinking, look, I'll go, and if it doesn't work, Liverpool take me back and I'll play there from 30 onwards or 29 onwards. That'll be fine. Might not work that way. Doesn't tend to work that way. And Real Madrid quite often take people in, spit them out. So unlike an awful lot of people, I don't have the pettiness to say, well, I hope he goes there and it goes badly for him. I do get that point of view. I do get it. Yeah. I don't have it because he's been part of so much good stuff. I just want to see him keep on doing that. And the last time I saw him in a red shirt, I was wondering again, because I thought there was a sort of certain absence in terms of the absolute commitment that you can see on the park for the full time that he was on the pitch. And it just makes me wonder. And if I can do that, and I like the guy and I want him to stay, I'm sure people who are less well disposed towards him are much quicker to do that. I think that's a real doubt. So if you're asking me, I'll just put numbers on it for you. I think Virgil, for some reason in the back of my head, I'm thinking it's somewhere north of 80%. Mo, I think, is somewhere north of 60%. And Trent, I think, is somewhere between 20 and 40. And I don't know why that is, but I want to put some sort of figure on it so you understand kind of where I'm thinking in terms of the likelihood of each of these getting done.
I think that's good, Trev. We were going to ask you, as we always do on big decisions, any guest, to nail your colours to the mast and make the call. So there you are, 80% confidence VVD, 60 or around 60 with Mo and Trent. 20 to 40 tops. I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing. And as Trev said, well, it's got to be a big summer. How big that is, what's your war chest made of? We will find out in a few months, and we'll have plenty, hopefully, fingers crossed, to talk about on the transfer show. So there we go. That's the off-the-field matters. But, Trev, people love this at the moment, on the field at the moment. I mean, I'm putting it up on the screen. It is a thing of beauty to look at just now, people, isn't it? 6 points ahead of Arsenal, 56 points, with a game in hand, a 2-0 victory over Bournemouth at the weekend, where the elite players showed elite things. Now, people will give it the nonsense, Trev, which this talk annoys me. Oh, a title race doesn't begin to March. Like, you can be out a title race come March time. There's a lot of games, a lot of points to play, and we're hoping Lego Head and his troops are well and truly in that situation. But we look at February and the upcoming fixtures, and we get past the first two, Trev, which are the Cups. We've got the semi-final, which will be brilliant tomorrow, the FA Cup. There's at least 4 Premier League games. Away at Goodison for the final time, at home against Wolves, away at the Etihad to a team that's just spent £200 million, and at home that week to Newcastle. I mean, when you look at those games right now, Trev, what's your initial thoughts?
I every month it's been tempting to say this month is huge, and there was an awful lot of people who are, I think, unwilling to believe in what was happening from outside the club and from within our own fan group as well, and wary and all the rest of it. There has to come a time where you say, you know what, we've played quite a good cross section of clubs here. You remember that early stage? It was like, well, they haven't played anyone yet. Well, we've played everyone except Everton, and that run of fixtures where you go Wednesday, Sunday for Everton and Wolves away and at home, respectively, and then you go from the 23rd. What would that be? That's a Sunday, isn't it? Sunday to 26th. What must be Wednesday again. From the 23rd to the 26th, you go away to City and you're home against Newcastle. It's tempting to say the home games, blah blah blah, but we really need results in those away wins, and I think those 4 fixtures are stacking up to be massive. The way I look at it is this, Dave. I think, and I stand open to all sorts of ridicule on this, but I think if Arsenal had a reversal against City and we have our result against Bournemouth, which, you know, a huge amount of our fans were absolutely bricking it about that game. I've never seen such fear from the Liverpool assembled masses on the Twitter machine as I did ahead of Bournemouth. It was wild to watch. And so I can only imagine the levels of, underpants replacement those guys are going to need over the course of those 4 games. Everton away, always difficult. Wolves, who are a decent enough side, everyone can beat everyone in the Premier League. Away at City, the proverbial wounded animal who will raise their game against us as if it's a freaking cup final because their league is essentially busted, but they will still believe, especially if we drop points against Everton or against Wolves. These lunatics will believe that they can pass everybody, and they could if Arsenal fall apart. So that's huge. And then Newcastle is the furthest thing from a gimme in the Premier League you can have.
Yeah.
Now, if we had, I think, gotten the result we needed in the City-Arsenal game, which was for Arsenal to be beaten, or a draw I'd have taken, I think their heart goes out of them, and I'm a lot more sort of upbeat going into these. But then, if this season has taught you anything, it's that you can't be fixated on other teams and where they are, because it goes 1 week from them getting back to within 4 points to being back to 9 points the next week. It's that big of a swing. It can happen that quickly. I'm looking at those 4 games, Dave, and I'm not sure if you're asking me this, but I'm just going to volunteer this information anyway. And I think they are 4 games that Liverpool should win. And I don't want to start saying, oh, City is tough away. Oh, Everton's tough away. I think Liverpool, the current favourites for the league leaders by a nice amount of points, and with a game in hand, 6 points in a game in hand, they should be, that team, this crew, fully fit, more or less, they should be able to go and get 4 wins there. And I think, and this is my prediction to you, my friend, if on the 26th of February, we are looking at Liverpool having beaten Newcastle, City, Wolves and Everton, all of which they are capable of, I think at that point, we might be starting to hear we're going to win the league ramping around the ground when it comes to Southampton on the 8th of March.
Goosebumps talking about that. I do love it when you get an experienced guest who knows exactly where my questions are going to go. The flow. Absolutely love it. The one thing that sort of fascinates me about February, Trev, is, I mean, we've brought up the table there. We've currently played 23. Arsenal have played 24. Arsenal only play 3 Premier League games in the month of February. We play 4. So we'll go level potentially. However, if we beat Spurs tomorrow night, and you fancy the chances of that are pretty good, so we go to a Carabao final. it's been confirmed that it's a shame I can't get a media effect to do this, but between Wolves and City, an Aston Villa game away will get inserted there. So, it's not the softest of insertion, shall we say, in terms of a fixture list and everything like that. Did want to ask you if that does happen, if Villa comes, and that'll make the 19th of February. So that would bring, just for those who can't see it, Sunday the 16th of February, Wolves at home. 19th of February, Villa away. 23rd of February, the Sunday, City away. That would be a hell of a week, wouldn't it, Trev?
It would, but let's be clear about what that insert of the Villa game would be. It would be a cup game. Yes?
It's actually the league, I believe. I think it's the league, actually. For the
I completely...
Carabao Cup final, isn't it? It's the Carabao Cup final.
Oh, I see. So you're telling me something gets bumped into that side.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I completely misunderstood. I thought, because I've got so little... Let me just be clear about this, Dave. I've got so little interest in the cups that I thought you were telling me Aston Villa were already through to the next round, and that's who we were going to be playing if we get through. That's how little I care, right? So I assumed it was a cup fixture. If that's a league fixture against Villa, I mean, that's a little bit cruel, man, to be honest. But I'm going to double down and say, well, then by the end of February, the league is won if we win all 5. That's how strongly I believe in this team, and that's how strongly I believe what 5 wins, 15 more points will do for us. 5 wins in a row, I think, kicks the heart and soul out of anyone who's considering a sniff at a challenge. That's my take, man.
Yeah, got getting goosebumps. 5 wins in a row. If we win the semi-final tomorrow, which you'd fancy, would make it a hell of a month. And then, regardless of Arsenal's 3 fixtures, and you're right, we don't focus too much on other clubs, but there's a lot of people talking about Arsenal and their easy fixtures. Just keep on your radar, people. Forest in 3rd place away is no easy fixture after a midweek against West Ham for Arsenal. So that might just be one to keep on your radar as well. But yeah, in that regard, to be fair to you, Trev, you've already made the call. 5 out of 5. That would be special. And you're right. That would just decimate the souls of Arsenal fans, wouldn't it? The copium would have to be extreme. The VAR conspiracies. Let's be honest. It would just be beautiful to be on Twitter and looking at Arsenal stuff, wouldn't it, if that happened?
Give us March and April of Arsenal lads losing their heads. Allow us that joy. Allow us that joy of being able to watch that. Watch their sensors in the balls. The referee's a cyborg. I don't care. Let's just watch it all pan out, because I've heard some of these guys saying some of the most spectacularly weird stuff. It's not even just that it's not logical. It's just mad. It's mental. Yeah. Nobody loves a conspiracy theory more than me. And the highlight of my recent football life has been when the Everton fans were trying to say that there was something in the ball that stopped it from going over, and Divock managed to get that header in. This is the kind of stuff I live for. So I can only imagine what our Bloods and Fams are going to manage over there at AFTV if the Reds can get these 5 wins. And it's more about the relentlessness of it, Dave. It's about the relentlessness of this team. We just won't go away. We just won't stop winning. And I think if that happens over the course of that month of February, it's not as if it's mathematically done. It just feels psychologically like it would be done. And you said that, they've got to go away to what do you call it? Nottingham Forest. And look, we know what a tough game that is. We managed a point there. City didn't. I don't think they did. City got beat, I think. Certainly they were a ridiculously overachieving team. Look what they did at the weekend. Look at that result against Villa. Yeah. Wow. So that's not going to be easy. And they've got to take on the Moisaya. He's back, And, you don't need trophies to be a winner, but he is a winner, and he now has trophies. So I think, you never know what's going to happen in that period of time. All we can do is get the wins that we need from Liverpool. And if that happens, Dave, I think we might be set fair to enjoy the run in, which would be a lovely, lovely, lovely bonus.
Brill. I don't want to disagree with any of that and ruin the sentiment. Everyone is here for it. Look at this. Even our registered nerds, Dr. Bart, is saying he can see Lego heads forming already. And just for the record, I can call him a nerd. You can't because he's on payroll. So that's absolutely fine. So there we go.
All right, Phil. Good to see you, man.
Indeed. Listen, ladies and gents, if you've been joining, hopefully you have enjoyed the show. He is a very busy man, Trev Downey. In fact, I believe, Trev, very shortly, you've actually got another superstar, haven't you, to interview or speak to at the same time. So, Mr. Jan Mulby.
Straight on with my buddy Jan, and we're going to try this new format. We'll see how it goes. You're talking about two old men shaking their fists at the clouds. So we don't know how that's going to work, but we will get it sorted. I was doing experiments earlier on last night, and I actually left something in the studio, which young Gibbo found. I didn't intend it for it to be there. It was me talking to myself, but I think he was enthused by the few bits that we were doing. So hopefully we will get that up and running. We're certainly going to try and record it on this format. And then the plan is that Mulby on the Spot will go live on this format, and we can do all the bells and whistles, our banners and occasional clips and all the rest of it. Because I am loving this, Dave.
Yeah. And if we can get someone like Jan Mulby giving comment on video content and things like that, you can sack off your TNT subscription, everything like that. Penny Cunningham would be shitting his pants as we speak. But thank you for all the comments, ladies and gents. It is a huge week, as Jack says there. Abdul Rahim with the exact same sentiments as Eddie Gibbs, saying feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. It has been much appreciated. It's been mostly appreciated to get the views, the sentiments, the honest takes, the calls from Mr. Trev Downey. So all it leaves me to say, Trev, is for all that, it is much appreciated, sir.
Thanks, brother. An absolute joy. And let's do this again very soon.
We will do. Ladies and gents, that was another